This is our first live here on Substack. This is the QBI Healing Sanctuary, and this is something we do every week to bring people in so they feel better. We do. My name's Melissa Hocking Hughes. If you haven't met me before, you're meeting me now, and it's great to see you guys here too. Where do we start? There's so much to go on. What I'm going to do is just jump in because we do these every week. I actually jump in as much as I can, depending where I am on the planet and availability of resources, right? But most of the time, I will pop in at least once a week to catch up with, if sometimes just the QBI healing facilitators around the world. A lot of the time, it will be everyone like this one, a whole free to everyone jump in. Come and have a bit of a listen to a high vibrational healer, a multidimensional healer that's been walking the planet long enough to tell you some really cool stories. In these sessions, we will have usually what I like to call mini beds, small healing processes that over more than 20 years in QBI healing, we've refined and assisted people to have so that very quickly they can lift their vibration, bring healing to the space that they're in and into themselves. And so I love sharing mini meds. I have a history as an anatomical physiologist as well. So I usually all things combined, the multidimensionalism, the communication, all things that are spirit, universe, science. And then with it, I'll throw in physiologically, this is what I want you to do for yourself. And by the way, let's check into that. Even occasionally a recommendation if I find a good doco or a good movie or something like that. But one of the things my recommendation today is if you have come here to see me do this in this new forum, welcome to Substack, because it was recommended to me to come to Substack about a year ago from colleagues, friends, and I've watched it. I've joined it. I've played a little on it, and I have to say, I have to agree with them. It was referred to as a safe space. It was referred to as an amazing community. But I've got to tell you, on here, there are some great artists, writers, poets, incredible people, intelligent minds, and there seems to be a beautiful undercurrent of integrity in here. And so, yeah, it is. I have to say, from all my friends and colleagues that said this is a safe space, this has got to be, in regards to social media, one of the best spaces I've come across. So I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad I am too. All right, let's talk about what's going on this week. I'm literally going to jump in. If you need to find out about me, I'm an author. It's easy to find me. I do clinics all over the world where I actually still treat patients all the time. Author, here you go. I've got, there's this book, there's a new one coming out in a couple of months. So exciting. Anyway, you'll hear about that for sure. Absolutely hit the follow button if you want to join into the healing sessions, which I will actually come on and facilitate session for people. You need to subscribe for that one, okay? But the subscriptions are nominal. They're just a fabulous little fee. Anyway, cheap bargain. Tell you, healing, this is what we want. Okay, let's talk about healing, what's actually going on. One of the things that I will actually address is something that I do frequently address. I haven't for a while. But we're in a place right now on this planet where things are going a little berserk. Let's face it. Everything from weather to geopolitics to everything else that's going on the place is just amazing. And old powers that are losing power, that are starting to panic, are starting to hit panic buttons. We're seeing them as they wind down. They're going to probably blow themselves up. We'll see what they do. But one of the things that I want to break down is the horrible misdirect that we've had, particularly, in our generation, definitely. It's been over generations and certainly over decades. This delusion that others are better than you, that we are led to throw our autonomy to other specialists and people that we're told are higher qualified and, experts is the word I'm after. That's the word I'm after. And we've been told that we're not capable of actually solving our own problems, not just in our health, but in all sorts of areas. Everything's got to be outsourced, handed over. And of course, that's fed economy very well. But it hasn't necessarily fed you and it hasn't necessarily fed the health of you and your family terribly well. You have always been a healer of self. You have always been in a position of being able to bring your system back to balance enough that it can correct itself. We use all kinds of tools to do that, whether you do go to a conventional doctor and you get a script for antibiotics, or whether you go to a deep tissue massage therapist, or whether you come to me and you're immersed in quantum energetics. All of us are trying to achieve the same end. We're trying to bring the system back to balance enough that it can retake the reins and reclaim its health on its own again. It finds its own balance. Healing's always a system of balance. As this world is shifting the way that it is, it's so important that you remember that you actually are far more capable of solving the issues you need to solve, of solving it in your health, in your life, in your being. And so I want you to remember that when you're in this space as well. All right, that's not actually where I was intending to go today. We're going to talk about stuff that's relevant to today. We're going to talk about stuff that's not. And I'm going to lead on from other things that we've been doing over time and over everything that's been going on. And so let's see. Now, if you've been catching up with me in the QBI Healing Sanctuary here online, you will have heard me talk about we finally came to the decision a couple of months ago, a group of amazing healers and myself, to do a hard cortisol reset on my body. Now, my body's been through a lot. If you know anything about me, this amazing vehicle that I'm walking around in just is extraordinary, and the stuff it's survived will blow your mind. But this body's also been through an enormous amount of stress for the best part of a decade. Encompassing all that it is to be human, and of course, probably the most powerfully affecting emotion of what it is to be human, which is grief. Grief is very much the everything emotion. It's the emotion that draws in every other emotion that you've experienced in what you've lost. And so, with all of that in the last 10 years, my body, and particularly my endocrine system, had set its threshold at a ridiculous level of cortisol. And try as we might to get it down, even me, self-healing, everything else that we're doing, nothing was really bringing it back. And so we decided to do a hard cortisol reset. Now, the reason most of what everyone's heard in the past several weeks as I've been doing this, or past few weeks as I've been doing this, is me whining about it. And I'd like to say thank you for tolerating that. Because some of it's been pretty freaking uncomfortable, I've got to say. Just things that I've had to change, and the recognition that that was so damn uncomfortable, wow, that really must have needed to change. What I'm actually seeing as I'm doing this, though, is what we get to see in a quantum energetic session, in a actual treatment session, but we get to see it almost instantaneously. And in that brief time that we share space with that individual that we're facilitating a healing session for. But this is like the slowed down, slow-mo version of a healing session as I actually do it. I was actually yesterday speaking to a good friend, and I really wanted to say to him, I think this is something you could do for yourself too. And I was describing to him what's actually happened. Now, when you hear everywhere, it's everywhere at the moment, people are talking about cortisol reset, particularly if you're on other socials. You will hear people talking about cortisol resets, what you need to take, what you should take. Everyone needs to get their cortisol down, everything. And it's advertised, particularly for all the various products. It's advertised very much as this is how you'll finally lose that weight. This is how you'll lose what they do call cortisol belly, the visceral fat that goes to the front of the body that does relate to a cortisol overload. But they advertise it as in weight loss more than anything else, right? Now, as I've been going through this, and it's a hard reset, I'm going to step out of this particular session for a minute and say to you, we often experiment on my body. It's something that we do because my body's, because I'm here to teach. I'm here to show you guys that you can do this. All right. So I'm going to step back in now. Okay. So what we're actually seeing, though, when I was describing it to, okay. What's happening here? Sorry, we just got a bit of a, all right, there we go. So what's actually happened here with this particular session is that it's been a slow-mo version of a healing session in which I've watched priority after priority actually kick in. Now, as a facilitator, when we go into session and the way that I teach for people coming there is we allow that body, the body that we're working on, to prioritize what it needs first. The priority of what that body will show you won't necessarily, in fact, more often than not, isn't what the person that's come in will tell you it is. If they come in and tell you that they've got a sore lower back, or even that they've got uterine fibroids, or they've got, tumors in various places, or what's going on, you'll find that most of the time, particularly if it comes to growths, cancers, etc., you will be called to work first and foremost through the endocrine system, not necessarily directly on the, 25 millimeter tumor in the breast. And so, and interestingly, with the cortisol reset, I have watched, as I said, it was remarkably uncomfortable. And I was thinking, oh, it'll only be uncomfortable a couple of days. It was a couple of weeks before I actually started to settle. It still is actually quite uncomfortable, some of the things that I'm doing for this. But what I'm watching is changes that I wasn't expecting that have surprised me while this reset is occurring. Other things that are showing me that things have actually changed, not just in my body, but in my family and in my household and in my office and in my clinic, and actually all around me too. The ripples are actually going out from it as well. But changes that I wasn't necessarily engaging in, I wasn't doing the cortisol reset for, have surprised me. But the one thing that really hasn't changed a whole lot is the body fat percentage on my body. It actually hasn't changed. It's been a few weeks and it still hasn't really changed a whole lot. But what actually has changed as we've gone on, we've seen lots of amazing changes where, I've seen a lot of amazing changes where, well, first of all, feel so much calmer, and I do. It's very rare for me to have an adrenal overload, which would happen a lot because I was pretty much surviving off adrenaline. But other things that are happening, fascial tissue has loosened right up. The fluidity in the fascial tissues and as such the muscular tissues as well is amazing. The joint inflammation, anything that I had in joints that was inflamed, gone. There's just so many other things that are amazing in the changes, but not least of all is in brain function and concentration. Memory. It is just extraordinary how the brain's actually recovering itself from stepping out of that consistent fight or flight, right? I'm watching that as I look back at it, and I see over the several weeks we've seen this cascade of healing processes, different elements in the body. We see this in a healing session with QB, right? With quantum energetics. We see that cascade from the first priority shown to us. We work on that. But once it comes back to balance enough, we move on and the body shows us what's next. We go to what the next priority is and we start working on that. We start changing and moving into what we need to. So as we're working on someone, we shift and we move as to what priorities go. And we see rapid fire, this cascade of healing process. The body's got that enough in balance that we can now concentrate on this and bring it to that. And we can now relate to this because that's in place and we can do that. And I'm watching the slow-mo of that in this cortisol reset. Didn't even realize until I was speaking it out loud yesterday to a friend. And then I thought, this is the slow-mo version of the healing sessions that we do. I'm watching this cascade because I was actually saying that my muscle density has increased, my bone density has increased. So much incredible health benefit has already changed in this reset. But at the same time, but as I said, visceral fat really hasn't dropped a whole lot. Like it's dropped a few percent, but it hasn't dropped a whole lot. Not yet. Obviously, that's like down the line. And so where they're advertising that you're going to drop weight and you're going to drop this and you're going to get the, what do they call it? The sort of uh, leaner face. I'm not sure. There is a name for it, but the leaner face. You're going to get all of that. Well, that is coming. That will happen. But it is clearly further down the line. It's a lesser priority for your physical body to get rid of. The beauty of the healing process is actually being able to accept that it's a process, isn't it? It's to accept that as much as we do see, and we do, and you'll hear from, I've been doing this for a long time, I'm good at what I do, and there's thousands and thousands of testimonials out there about, I saw Melissa and this instantly changed. But As much as we do see that, what we do see and what I often talk about to people is the healing session doesn't stop. When I stop facilitating, your body then takes on that higher vibration. It goes out there and it continues to heal itself at what it can for as long as it can in that vibration. And so we see lots of people get what we called one of our latest, one of our more recent research chapters, where we focused on depression, and it was triple blinded, controlled. It was awesome, and the results were through the roof for depression. They were, and I'm not downplaying that. That's no small thing, right? That's enormous endocrine chemical shift, and so we know that it affected the bowel, the body, all the good stuff. But we ended up doing a secondary research. A secondary paper actually came out on it because so many of the participants in that research, and there were hundreds and hundreds, um, had what we ended up calling bonus healings. They had things like, the depression certainly lifted, they were doing great, and also their lower back wasn't sore anymore, their knee was fixed, or their eyesight was so much better, and it's just we ended up doing documentation of the bonus healings that also occurred, to see if we actually had any consistencies that were a common, if you like, bonus healing, whether, the lower back, the eyesight, things like that. And so, but that beautiful process and cascade where the body said, okay, I've got that in check. Now I can actually focus on this. Now I can focus on that too, was just an amazing thing to actually be able to document too. All right. This has taken a direction I wasn't expecting. All right. Let's talk about where we are at the moment, because where we are at the moment is a fascinating time, well, collectively on planet, in solar system and solar structure, and then also outside multidimensionally through the multiverse as such as well. And so there's an awful lot affecting. Now, if you're a fan of astrology, I'm the first to tell you I'm not an astrologer, but I do look at what's actually happening well outside our realm, because a lot's happening. There's no doubt we're seeing a lot happening. We've got all kinds of visitors coming on and off planet. We've got all sorts of great stuff happening that's opening up, while the so-called powers that be are struggling to maintain power. So they're creating whatever atrocities they can. But anyway, let's talk about this weekend. We have a Capricorn. Is it a Capricorn new moon? It is. Yeah, Capricorn. It's where I am right now tomorrow. It's on the 18th, Sunday, the 18th of January. We have a new moon. It's either the last new moon of the natural calendar, or it's the first new moon of the Gregorian calendar. You can look at it either way. Either way, it's a really powerful new moon. It's one that's in Capricorn. And if you are actually a cardinal sign, this is a beauty. New moons, of course, are amazing for new beginnings. And whatever you think the moon is, it does affect our planet magnetically. And of course, all of us that exist on the planet live in that electromagnetic field. And certainly us. We have this enormous one around the heart complex, and we have the one around the brain. We know that we're affected by moons. The new moon is an amazing place, amazing opportunity for reset. But this particular one, with all it's in alignment, where everything is in our solar structure in terms of what Saturn's doing, where Mars is trine with, and with everything that's going on, this is such a good time for you to sit down and make sure you can really set yourself up for this next year. You can sit down and make sure you've got a coherent strategy of what you want and what you're going to do for yourself for this year. By the 18th, sit down with it. Actually, just have a top down coherence about reclaiming and taking your power back. So, where we started in this life, where we were talking about uh, too often, too much, too far, we have been conditioned and battered into handing authority to others, giving our power to others, because we've been told that we don't know, we're stupid, our bodies can't fix themselves, we don't, all of that stuff, right? That you're not capable. Yes, you're going to find people that specialize in stuff. Like, yeah, you're going to find me. I'm a healer. I specialize in that process. I specialize in the field of quantum communication in the living cell. And as such, that's definitely my field of speciality. If you came to me and talked to me about lion taming, don't know anything. Don't know anything. Yeah. The best I could tell you, I'm not even going to tell you what I know, because I don't know anything. Well, so, um, but this is very much about declaring your own truth, saying that you're ready to run with what you want now. and actually putting it out there and trust in the process of what's going to fall in front of you. Now, it's an amazing time for the cardinal signs. Cardinal signs are Cancer, Aries, Libra, and Capricorn, of course. And it's a pretty damn incredible time for them. A little bit of a warning, there's just with what the planets are doing and what's actually happening in the not just in our solar system, but actually in the, galaxy. If you've done wrong to a cardinal sign in the last several years, apparently Saturn's gonna like, well, it's all coming back where if you've done something wrong to a cardinal sign, karma's gonna chase you down in the next couple of years. And so it's an interesting one to watch because a friend and I are both cardinal signs, and yesterday she said to me, "What happens if you are a cardinal sign and you did wrong to a cardinal sign?" Yeah, let's not do the math on that. I'm not an astrologer. I'm not sure what happens there. But it is a really fascinating time. It's just amazing how much everything else is supporting the human and the human race to step up and be the true stewards of the planet that they were always intended to be. And not just for planet and all that lives on, but all that lives on Earth, animal, plant, water, fish, everything. And so it is a really cool time. What I want you to do, your mini med, the thing I want you to do for yourself as things unfold. First of all, definitely take care of your health first and foremost. Keep your vibration high to stay true to self and source. Okay. Keep your vibration high. Work your little mini meds. Work those mini sessions that are so amazing at accelerating your vibration in the moment. That beautiful Fountain of Youth one that we love so much, that's just so powerful wherever you are, which is, of course, the one that with the smile, little majority, right? Use that one. Feel that amazing drop through. For those that are more advanced, you know what you're doing. Just keep that run through. But uh, over the next, there are an awful lot of predictions from a lot of my colleagues around the world too. We're seeing this in the last 12 months. We've watched a lot of unethical, nasty play of releasing synthetically altered viruses around the planet. We've been dealing with them, as you know, QBI, or you probably don't know, but if you're new to us, but QBI Healing is very, very good at dealing with viruses. We became quite the specialist, particularly during the last so-called pandemic. Um, but the stuff has been leaked that they're going to try and push out a new level of pandemic. And unfortunately, it probably will be with some sort of physical affliction, whether it's a virus, whether it's, I'm not too sure what they're up to. We've been dealing with some intelligent viruses that have clearly been synthetically altered, like the whole COVID thing was. Um, and so, yeah, lately there's been prediction from those that would predict. And there's also been those of us going, have you seen what these guys are up to? What is the plan here? The powers that be are struggling so hard to maintain power because the human is waking up, because we will not tolerate this lack of integrity anymore, because authenticity is this theme of the next 25 years. This stuff cannot continue. It's not going to be surprising if they try and pull this sort of stuff again. Um, and so, yeah, very important that you keep your vibration high, that you know how to work with your body and trust in it. More and more people, when they're diagnosed with cancer, are saying, no, I'm not touching that chemotherapy stuff. I'm going to do this, this, and this. And you find out where they were given 6 weeks to live, they're still here 4 years later doing great. And so remember that there actually are great things. QB is obviously everyone's gift. You all have the ability to do what I do. Definitely bring this into your repertoire of elements that you will use to keep your vibration high and keep your health in check. All right, I'm going to let you go there. Good job, mate. 25 minutes. Usually I do 25 to 30 minutes. I'm rather proud of myself if I do say so. Listen, I'm glad to see you on here. Thanks for joining me. Have a brilliant week. Please sit down with yourself. And even if you just sit down and go, what do I really want? What is it that I really want? And just write that down somewhere. Put it outside your mind and onto something palpable, um, so that even if you don't have the full map in place, come up with that little strategy behind it. If this is what I want, and you know what? This is how I'm going to find my way to it. All right. I love you heaps. Have a brilliant week. I will see you next week.